I am Thor, son of Odin, and as long as there is life in my breast, I am running out of things to say.
Great, another broken white boy for us to fix.
That's my secret, Cat. I'm always angry.
You took everything from me.
I don't even know who you are. With great power comes great responsibility. I can do this all day.
Wakanda forever!
And welcome, Internets, to another episode of Views from the 616, the blackest MCU podcast in the multiverse, powered by For All Nerds, where we discuss everything in the MCU from the perspective of people of color. And it is one of your hosts, Tatiana King, a.k.a. Tesseract Thompson, a.k.a. the coldest Winter Soldier ever, Doctor doing something strange for some change, Doc Aki and he who cannot be shamed, joined by my lovely co-host.
I don't know if that last one's Marvel related, but we'll let it slide. It's your boy DJ Ben Amin, aka Dr. Stephen Slane, the Sorcerer Supreme Clientele, Black Goliath, Ben Amin the Living Amplifier, Ben Amin DJ by Night, Briss Blairmont, NBA Youngboy Never Blipped Again, Brother Voodoo Child here in the spaceship yet again.
Welcome. And if you're talking about he who cannot be shamed, that's he who cannot be named. You know who that is. The man at the end of time.
Oh, true.
Your boy.
I was thinking that was a Castle Black reference with
No.
Yeah, okay. Well done. Well played.
This is a Loki reference. So
Well played.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
And thank you for your beautiful AKAs. I love them as always. And thank you, everyone, to the Views from the 616. We are back, as always, to discuss Moon Knight, this time episode 3.
Yep.
And let's get into the basic plot here. Welcome to Egypt, where the avatars play and Moon Knight gets buck like every day. On the third episode of Moon Knight, it's where in the world is Khonshu, as Mark and Steven take a little trip to the other side in more ways than one. Plus reunions with Layla, battles with a mini-boss, and a third personality. Interesting. Or is it a fourth personality at this point?
True, because you got to include Khonshu.
But
Khonshu isn't really a personality, Khonshu is its own thing.
He's not an alter. He's just a god that's borrowing forcefully someone's body and agency. So,
well, I mean, not forcefully. He's giving you a choice about it.
So remember we talked about this. So y'all, we talked about this in episode 2, how maybe initially it was a choice, but he's using threats to essentially keep Mark in place. So is that not forcibly at that point?
It's a cold choice. No, I mean, Mark still has a choice. He can still be like, nah, I'm good.
So if Khonshu rolled up to you and said, hey, yo, Ben, listen, I know you don't want this shit no more, but if you leave me, I'm going to the closest person in your life and I'm going to take them over instead. Do you think that's a choice at that point?
Well, what you got to understand is Khonshu going to sell to somebody, So that's the thing. Like, that's how I feel. Like, Khonshu going to go to somebody. Whether or not they take Khonshu is their choice. I can't, I'm just trying to wash my hands of Khonshu at this point. You know what I mean? That's on you what happens after me.
Like him. Like, not taking, I don't know, accountability. Like, Khonshu don't take accountability for
I already took accountability. I did the dirt while I was down with Konshu, and now I'm done being down with Konshu. I'm trying to get rid of the dirt. I'm trying to not. Now you making that choice, that's on you.
Okay.
And the threats that Konshu makes to you. It's like, I'm sure there's coming some threats there too.
All right. Well, I guess you and Khonshu are gonna be cool. I'm not with that nigga.
I'm still not down with Harrow, that's for sure.
Ooh.
3 episodes in, and yeah, my love for Harrow has not grown one bit. It's perhaps lessened. Yeah.
It's worse now.
Yeah, it is. Now I saw it.
All right, we're going to talk more about Harrow and the goons of Egypt and everything else. But let's get into the themes of the episode.
Huzzah!
And probably like the most central, if not only theme. Well, it's kind of 2 parts of the theme, right? 2 sides of the theme, right? The main theme of the past.
Yes.
The idea of returning to the beginning, returning to where things all started, as well as dealing and coming to terms with things in your past and how it affects you in the present or even in the future. Mm-hmm. So in the section where we're talking about returning to the beginning of things, towards the beginning, when we see Layla, she's up in some hidden location somewhere with a woman who I don't know is her mother or her aunt.
I'm
or
going with aunt.
Maybe aunt? Okay, some
Yeah.
type of relative, because as she's speaking to Layla, she's speaking in very familiarly about Layla's father and talking about how she misses him. So I presume that person is related to her as well, and or the father in some way.
Yeah, and it gave more of an aunt vibe and not a motherly vibe between them, because it gave more of a like, okay, I don't really approve of what you're doing, but I'm going to help you out anyway because I'm not
That gave
your
you
mom's.
auntie vibes? That also gave me mom vibes too. Like, I know moms like that.
Yeah, but moms ain't going to watch their daughter throw themselves near death. You know,
depends on what type of mom we talking about. We talking about a Disney mom here. Marvel owned by Disney. Disney moms are always throwing their kids to the wolves. So,
but that's usually
or
when they
killed,
hate their kids or die. See, that's what I'm saying. Disney moms, or getting killed. That's
right.
Disney moms get killed. Disney moms don't be like, let me help you nearly get yourself killed. That feels more like an aunt.
But also, sometimes moms know that they know how their kids are, right? So they like, let me just at least try to keep you as safe as possible, or in the case of this scene, let me give you the best fake passport available to the world.
Still feels like an aunt. I definitely questioned Lydia going off with her righteous thief routine to her aunt mom.
Layla?
Layla, Lydia, yeah. I was not feeling it. Yeah, I was. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Layla Clapton. Yeah, I was not really feeling that. Like, I wanted to give that Killmonger face right there. Like, where'd you get these from in the first place, though?
Oh, so you mean you had a problem with her? Like when they were having that discussion about you're stealing artifacts, and she's just like, "Nah, I'm."
They were already stolen.
I'm stealing what's already stolen. Now that's the conundrum, right? Like, is that true? Like, if you're stealing what's already stolen, are you stealing? Are you reclaiming it, right? Are you reclaiming your time when it comes to these artifacts, right?
So is she doing the Killmonger right there? I guess so. She considers herself to be Killmonger.
I mean, as far as we understand, she's Egyptian, right?
Yes.
And she's stealing back artifacts that
not
belonged
always
in
Egyptian
Egypt.
artifacts. She's been robbing for a long time.
She be looting
I don't know if
across
there's
the
that
world.
many Egyptian artifacts out there. I mean, I'm sure there are, but I'm sure you got to grab some other ones at some point. Like,
and she does make mention that she's grabbing them, but. I'm mentioning her mom and what it means about the past because her mom has a very poignant quote that she says. She says, "It's a hard thing exhuming the pain of the past. It's easy to get stuck fixated on what hurt us." And that's applicable across the board, right? Like towards everything. Like when we think about concepts like revenge, when we think of concepts like wanting to make amends or wanting to do things better the next time around, right? It's typically because you're dealing or not dealing with something in the past, and you're dealing with that pain of whatever happened to you, right? So we don't quite know all the pain of the past. Besides, we know that Layla's father was killed. We know Mark's was around, has something to do with it in some way, and Layla still don't know the entire story about what happened, right? She don't know all the details, at least not until she gets a little further into this episode.
Layla don't know much about nothing, but we're going to get to that in a second. First, I want to talk about that line that you quoted because it's so real, right? Because to do something like this episode does some heavy foreshadowing. I've had some great melodies in my life. I've experienced some great melodies in my time, and the ones you fixate on are the melodies that you didn't go so well. You know what I mean? Like you fixate on those, even though you've had others that went great, and it's just that's how it is with life. Our past, even though we've had a good life. I mean, me personally, I've had a blessed life, but I'll still fixate on bad moments in my past a lot instead of appreciating all the great moments and the fact that I'm still here experiencing new great moments every day.
Yeah. And that's both personality trait and flaw. Like I have that similar case where lots of time I think about, oh damn, I could have did something else better or sooner or whatever, right? I could have improved in some way, but it's like that's water on the bridge now. You have to think more in the moment or think about, okay, what the actions you're performing now, what ripples will that have going forward? And like a lot of people, type A personalities, people who are perfectionists, like a lot of that is just like a daily struggle. Like that again, that fixation, and that fixation is that fixation on what hurt us, as Layla's person says, that fixation continues to hurt you. And that, as you said, that may be foreshadowing about what's to happen.
Oh yeah, definitely. This episode definitely had a lot of foreshadowing going on.
Yeah.
Another thing that we learned in that conversation is that Mark lived 20 minutes from
Hiding in plain sight, right?
hiding in plain sight. Well, let's say Steven lived 20 minutes from where Mark and Layla used to live together.
Right.
So
Now-
that's how he managed to handle all that griminess that was going on, or at least
Yes.
Mark did. And that's another thing we learned this episode is that Mark tells Layla, up until recently, I had this whole alters thing under control. So it seems like I've been saying is that Mark
what you
has been
said.
the main, personality, and Steven is either a recent development or Steven's always been around, but Mark is still the main.
Okay, it's just so much in terms of the double triple lives happening right now.
But
And-
Mark has been living, and he's been
Yeah.
he's been the one knowing about Steven at the very least, and he's been the one who's been doing all this stuff. He's the one. I don't know. I mean, he didn't get Steven that apartment, but like he got himself one, or I don't
Did
know
he?
Mark
thing,
and
we don't
Mark
know.
and Layla together definitely went and got an apartment. That's something that happened with the both of them, and Layla is not experiencing mental trauma, or not that mental trauma. She got her own mental trauma.
But I'm about to say, but she is still experiencing it, especially
Well,
as
now
I
she's really experiencing it because
as I said in the last episode, she's dealing with Mark's ass talking about I'm not Mark and this and I'm Steven, and then she comes to terms that okay, he's
and I
telling the
had
truth.
something to do with bodying your dad.
Ooh, right. Like it's just so much going on. And like I said, I feel for Layla because she's caught up in this foolishness.
Oh.
And once again, Konshu is to blame for a great deal. Yes, Mark is to blame too, but Konshu as well.
I don't know how to try and pin it on Khonshu, but the whole bodying of her dad, I'm not sure, how
No,
much.
that's not,
I don't
that's
know.
just mercenaries. That's
Yeah.
just human beings.
I think
that's just-
Khonshu came in after that.
That's
fact,
just man being man. But no,
Yeah.
just that internal struggle like that Mark is having is because Khonshu's an asshole. And it's just like Khonshu's an asshole. The gods are assholes. That's how
okay.
and damn near every story across cultures and time.
We can
Most,
agree
not
there.
all. Most of the gods are assholes.
We can agree there. Where I disagree is Mark having any type of internal struggle because
Oh, Mark is not having internal struggle with wanting to be with the one he loves and wanting to protect his wife and then also having to do Khonshu's bidding. That's not happening, Ben?
I mean, he bodied her
You keep saying that.
allegedly.
Well, he did.
Allegedly,
He did not actually. We
Oh,
learned that later on in the episode. He was there, but he personally didn't do it.
allegedly on both counts.
Allegedly.
We don't know yet. Did he do it or not? We know what his word is, which
Allegedly.
is sus. To say the least. So Mark definitely bodied her or had something. Was there.
He was there. We know he's
And then
there.
after that, he went and beat.
Well,
for lack of a better word, like
And
he lived
but
with
that's
this woman.
also the thing. The timelines are still a little screwy for me because I don't like. For example, after that whole death of Layla's dad, I don't really know how much. Is that when he disappeared on Layla? Was it after the fact? Like it's not clear that those things are happening sequentially.
It seems to me that Layla's dad's death is in the past, and then after
Yeah.
that, there was a relationship between the two of them. Because after
Okay,
that, she finds out about Moon Knight.
Yeah, and
She
then-
knows about Moon Knight. And Moon Knight, I
Yeah.
think, comes after the death of Layla's dad as well.
No, it has to because something
Yes.
went down in the desert during
Yes.
that situation that
Yes.
basically brought Mark close to death.
To Konshu. Yeah.
And that's where Konshu was like, I have a proposition for you. So.
Yeah. An offer you can't refuse.
All
You know?
right.
Yeah, I mean, death or this, that's not really a threat. You know what I mean? That's more like
It's
That's
not
more
a
like-
threat in the moment. But my thing is to say, yo, if you don't want to be my avatar no more, no problem. I'm going to go get your girl. Knowing all that entails.
But like I say, if you don't want to be my avatar no more, I'm gonna go get someone, fam.
But that's
Does it make
you.
it better? Does it make it better?
You're gonna
if I
get
can-
someone,
let
but you're not-
let me ask you the question. Does it make it better that it's not someone you know?
Yes!
You still putting wow. Who's
Yes!
really grimy here?
Yes!
Who's really grimy?
It's not
folks?
even about grimy. It's about the truth. If someone is sitting there threatening to do this to someone you love or someone that's close to you,
Yep.
you don't care who else they go. Let's be
Okay,
real.
but
Let's be
after
100% real.
you went around ruining people's lives and
But
bodying
let's
all
be
kind of people.
100% real. If
Yep.
that's your mindset, you don't care who
All
else's
right,
guy
but
goes
see,
to, as
at
long as
this
it's not your
point-
people.
remember, at this point, you have been the fist of Khonshu. You've done all kind of grimy things that, so I don't know, like,
But Ben, I think you're sounding like self-righteous. Like you would be this honorable guy that's just like, oh no, like, let's be real. Like if you had a chance to get rid of this nigga and he was just like, yeah, I'm just going to go to any other body except for your family. You're going to all right, have a blast. You're not going to be like, no, stay with me because I want to stop the next person from going through this shit. You're not doing that.
If I had a chance to get rid of him and he's like, yo, I'm going to go to somebody you love, I'm be like, yeah, that's on you, fam.
No, you're not. No, you're fucking not. No way. No way.
Because look, I can make, because me, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go around bodying people as the fist of God.
Well, that belays everything else. You over here, you're not trying to not be his avatar. You're like, oh, this shit cold. I'm having a butt. Like, that's you. That's what I'm not talking about.
Yeah, I made my bed. I'm laying in it, fam. That's what I'm saying. There's no. That's my problem. I've already known. I've done the crime. I did the time. Okay. I know the rules of the game. I'm not putting this on somebody else. Well, I made that choice.
Well.
And then if I come to the point where I'm putting it on somebody else, anybody can get it. Kids die every day, B. If you learn this episode,
Okay, Harrow, because that's how they feel.
Okay, Konshu, that's how all of them feel.
It's like, your heart's a little heavy. Kids die every day, B. Goodbye. Like,
I mean, Konshu was like, you're a little heavy. Kids die every day, B.
Well, Khonshu's an asshole, so there's no question there. Let's keep going with this theme of the past. We see the white devil himself, Harrow. He's leading his cult to Amit's tomb to exhume, or who knows what the fuck this man is exhuming, but he's exhuming all whatever's in there. He's trying to bring her, raise her, release her, whatever he's trying to do. And we find out that this tomb has been hidden for ages and ages and ages. It's even been hidden from the gods themselves because it is the gods who first essentially imprisoned Amit in there because Amit was too fucking OD.
Yeah, basically, the guy, Amit is so trash that. Wait, hold up. I mean, Konshu, in this episode, Konshu finally gets pushed to the limit, but Amit's been there. And they even said, at one point, they make a reference to, like many before him. So it's like, everybody does time at some point, All these dudes go out of line. It's like they just used to it.
I did 10 this time.
Fam, 10,000, that ain't nothing, bro.
Yeah, Hathor was in there, did her 7, she did her bid, we out. Like, okay.
Yeah. That's how, my man made a reference like that. It's like it's a revolving door around there.
Wow, apparently it's not working. It's just a revolving door. I don't think the incarceration system works like that.
We know damn well Konshu ain't gonna make 3 more episodes, let alone 5,000 years. We know that. Like, come on, fam.
Damn.
Yeah.
Also, we see Khonshu when they did the convening of the Ennead. Khonshu essentially demands that the gods return to how they used to rule, how they used to be out in the open and influencing man just without hiding anything, and now they're in the shadows, and they talk about how, we'd rather fall back and just observe. And he's like, nah, fam, y'all not using y'all power right. And I can see, like, you have this, what looks to be a raven lunatic guy talking about, y'all need to come outside and show off and show and pull up and do this and do that. And they're like, no, like, how do you think that we're still active? Like, how do you think we're still surviving out here because we fell back? So there is that's been a big kind of conflict that you see across the gods, the stories of the gods, but you see again here in Moon Knight.
I also think that this says that these gods, at least these Egyptian deities, at least predate man, because they don't seem to need to worship a man to have power. And they
man don't need to worship them to have power.
Yeah, and they don't need to worship a man, like a worship of man.
A worship of man. Okay.
Yeah, they don't need to worship from men, to have power.
No.
Yeah, it seems to be that they exist on another plane. So I think that they're saying that these dudes are like, right. But it seems to be the same with the Norse gods as we've seen so far, because they're not worshipped in present day and they're fine.
Well, the thing about and again, this it repeats, but the thing about the Egyptian gods is they represent the elements and even the creation of the galaxy and the worlds and all that stuff. So yes, they're well before the creation of man, and they stand on their own 10. Yep. That's not really the thing, but it's also like Khonshu, I think maybe he misses being revered. I mean, like, again, look at man's he looks down bad. He seems like he's constantly trying to fight for his place and fight to be heard and all this other stuff. And I think he would appreciate and prefer if people was like had his back.
Is
People,
Khonshu
man, and the gods.
by another name, basically, because it's like, they seem to want similar goals. Like, Khonshu wants to be flexing more, and Amit definitely wants to flex more. And they both want to serve justice to fools. Like, Amit just
different
seems to...
forms of justice.
It's debatable. That's the thing. It's like, look, Khonshu, we like Khonshu because of Oscar Isaac.
Well, I didn't say I like Khonshu. And let me be clear.
Yeah,
I'm
true.
not friends with Khonshu.
So that's what I'm saying.
The only difference, though, that at least what's stated between Khonshu and Amit is Khonshu says he performs justice after the deeds are done, whereas Amit does the precog shit and say, oh, you about to do shit in 20 minutes or 20 years, I'm going to call you now.
But what if Amit just did that and then the world was heaven?
Then I don't have an answer for you, because it's just also like, that also means that children are getting killed, and is that moral?
I mean, they die every day, B.
See, here we go again. And that's what I'm saying.
And that's the thing, they die every day because the world isn't moral. But if, all the evil kids got eliminated, then the world,
So
my
with this
thing is
thinking,
like,
Ben, how are you not cool with Harrow? Because this is exactly his ministry. This is
because
exactly
his
what
hair
you're saying
is terrible.
Because his hair. But this is his ministry, Ben.
Yeah, but his game is not selling me on it.
God.
He doesn't have Thanos level game. And also, every time he demonstrates his power, I don't even believe he could pull it off in the first place. Like, this episode, I mean, I guess we can get into Anton being gassed, but we'll get to that later. And I just don't really feel Harrow. That's what it is. That's the difference. And also, I don't understand the plan, right? This is my problem. Like, what happens later? Does Amit just is Amit just gonna sit on Earth and just murder babies in the womb?
What my point is, and I think what I'm alluding to is Amit's not going to fucking stop. And that's when you say, well, what if it, and now that I'm thinking through it, you say, well, what if it's heaven on earth? It's not going to be heaven on earth.
Yeah, because there's always going to be an evil kid being born.
Death is going to be death on earth, because, like, as you say, if you go for two reasons. One, if you just go naturally by what you're saying, people are not bad or good when they're born, right? It's a series of things that puts them into whatever the situation is, whatever the life experience is. And for all you know, Amit's going to keep escalating, right? To the point of, like you said, people's going to be right straight out the womb, and immediately she's like, cut that nigga, right?
I just think Amit
could be that,
kill everyone.
Right, but then it's going to continue to escalate. And that's why she was imprisoned in the first place, or what you can believe to be the reason, because she took it too far. She was over the top.
Yeah. And I think that's all Amit would be, is over the top.
It would just be darkness at that point. It would be no life.
And that's why I don't F with Amit or Harrow, because I roll with, like Thanos. Just, half, arbitrary. It ain't about good or evil, fam. It's just like, you gotta go. We need space.
So you get rid of half, and then what is perceived as half, and then once they grow back, once they get born back, then what?
That's for somebody else to deal with, bro. Look, I just solved this problem. I'm gonna go sit on my lawn.
You are a messy god, Ben. I mean, a messy god.
I haven't. Yeah,
that's somebody
don't
else's
give me
problem.
The power. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Like I said, take the suit. That's somebody else's problem, dog. I did what I had to do.
She's. This is what I deal with, y'all. Like, this man is so frustrating. It's so funny, but so frustrating.
I'm just more realistic about it. Everybody else, like I said, I would be out there serving fools. That's what I'd be doing. That's like, that Moonlight shit looked lit, dog. I don't know. I'd be like, Harrow, I loved, dealing out justice for you. Like, that man was, he was like, he missed it.
Put it in my veins, inject this directly in my vein.
He missed that shit, boy.
All right, as we wrap up this theme of the past, remember we said that it's also going back to the past and dealing with the past. Oh, one more thing about just going back to the past. Quite literally, when Mark and I almost call her Athena for some reason, but when Mark and Layla were back in the desert looking for Amit's tomb, when they had a little GPS coordinate tracker on the iPad, and they said, and Mark said, or Steven rather, he says, the stars aren't aligned how they were centuries ago when this map was created. What do we need to do? And here in Konshu, he pushes the sky back to the past to what it used to be, which I just thought was just fire. I just from a concept, I was like, oh wow, that's you really on the highest of the high. You think about, let's move the whole sky, fam. Let's run it back. They spun the block, got to where they needed to go, and here we are. So return to the past, literally.
That was also one of my favorite moments in the whole series so far is Khonshu's F. Murray Abraham's line reading of "I remember that night."
Mm-hmm.
Like this, I remember all the nights. Was like
that's some vampire shit.
Yeah, and even worse because vampires usually got a few hundred, maybe 1,000 years. No, we talking forever, fam. And I remember all of it.
Eons.
Yeah, eons. And all of it I remember. Everything. I'm a god. That's just what I do. And, the weight of that was like in that line reading. That was one of my favorite moments on the show.
It was a very weighty moment. Like you felt like, yo, he really doing some wild shit and he's going to pay for it. And he knew he was going to pay for it. And that kind of felt like the only selfless thing Konshu has ever done, at least from what we see.
Yeah.
Maybe he's done this in the past and maybe that's why he's done this in the past and people didn't appreciate him for it. And that's why he is how he is now. But I just think at least now, like that's the best thing. That's the most selfless thing he's done.
And I also think that's the thing. Konshu gets a lot of hate, because he's out here trying to put in work. And they're like, nah, you can't do that stuff no more. No more work. And he's like, yo, but work needs to be put in. These humans ain't doing nothing but dirt.
Humans ain't shit.
Yeah, somebody got to watch out for the underdog, and that's what he's about. And they're like, nah, let them do the dirt, And so I feel for Konshu. And his line reading in that moment was really great. And yeah, man.
Yeah.
One more last thing, and it's dealing with the past. We talked about it a little bit, but Layla, boy, like this man. That you talk about line readings. Mark telling her ass, "Nah, you don't know who I am. You don't know nothing."
She doesn't know the man she married. She don't really understand their past. About, like you said, exactly because when they decided to come together, it was after the whole Konshu situation came to form.
After
so it's
her
just like
father died.
Right. So it's like, as we see, she don't know much and shit gets revealed and that just fucks her up.
Mm-hmm. And Mark is just a cold bastard in this episode. Like, just gives it to her raw. Like, and then stares at Steven in the mirror. Like,
yeah. In dealing with the past, we talk about Harrow. He expresses all the ways he kind of had to take an L. He had to take consistent L's in order to come up.
Consistent.
And I guess that's just how it works sometimes, but it's also just the way he said it. It was just so, and not sad like empathetic sad. It was just sad.
Yeah, it was just sad. But it was also hilarious. Harrow in this episode, especially that last speech he gave to me, was pure comedy because it was just like, you're still walking on glass, bruh. Like you are still living bad. Your hair is terrible. The most
you really don't fuck with him.
The most you can do with your power is blow up a casket. I was so unimpressed. Like he's like, that's the power. This is a tiny bit of the power. But it took you like 10 minutes to do that, dog. Iron Man does that in like 5 seconds.
Yeah, like his spirit bomb took too long to charge.
Way too long.
Okay, we would have killed you by now.
Yeah, I was really waiting for something really dope to happen, and then it's just like this casket explodes. Wow. Wow.
Unimpressed.
Yeah. Oh, look at you. You worked so hard. Yeah.
You would be that guy. I'm trying to figure out what kind of, you're basically Loki at this point, but what god you would be to like really just be talking down at these people.
Oh, definitely Loki. Yeah.
All
right. Yeah.
Let's get into the characters.
Mm-hmm. Please.
There is, as usual, Stephen Grant, Marc Spector, Moon Knight, also known as Mr. Knight, played by the Oscar Isaac.
One more.
Oh, another one. Another one. We don't know what this other one is. DJ Khaled.
He's quite violent. Yeah, he's quite violent. We know
apparently,
that much.
there's Khaled around, and we don't know what's going on.
Stabby Mark.
There potentially is a third alter, and again, because since we're removing Konshu as being an alter, there's a third person or entity that we have no idea who this is, but it's someone who's stepping in between Marks and Steven, because we see situations, because before you saw how it worked, right? When Steven would black out, Mark would obviously be taken over, and they made it very clear that Mark was taken over.
Yep.
Mark would do his thing, and then in the previous episode, Steven was crying, talking about give me my body back. Mark was like, nah, fam, I got it. Let me just chill. Let me ride with this. And as far as we knew, it was just only Mark with again, Steven crying in the background. Then we see Mark blackout and him waking up, and it happens 2 or 3 times, him waking up looking bewildered. And we haven't seen that yet. Usually it has always been Steven being bewildered, like, where am I? For Mark, the one who's supposed to allegedly the main, for him not to know what the fuck is going on is a problem. And that's why Ben Amin called it before. He said there's probably a third altar here.
Yeah, and that comes from the comments where there's several altars in, Marc Spector's head. And also the big hint in episode 1 was who hollered at the tour guide. Because Mark is married and Steven's a sucker. So it was neither of them.
Ain't no way.
And not that baddie. So ain't no way that went down. And then Mark is married and, at least as far as, being with his wife, he's loyal to her. As far as, being honest with her, that's a whole nother story. But
like, yeah, they were supposed to get a divorce, but like they're not divorced yet.
Yeah. And he wouldn't be out there hollering at the next broad. He got too much stuff on his mind.
And compared to looking at all the shit that's in the storage unit, he ain't got time to be doing all this sideshow stuff. Like, he's running the world doing foolish shit. So he ain't got time to be like going on dates. The other reason why we know or believe that this to be a different altar is because their style is way more over the top than Mark even. And Mark drops bodies. But for Mark to be like bewildered and the chase between, as I had said at the top, the Egyptian goons, the goons that they were running after, the way that chase progressed, you saw the differences in approach. Mark, he was doing the hand-to-hand, punching in the face, all that stuff, but he would hold back. For example, with the young one, the kid, he held back and gave him the Will Smith slap. Then you saw that he even when he caught up with one of the other goons, he just held him up to try to get information. He wasn't planning, as far as I can see, he wasn't planning on killing them because, again, he wanted information. There was no reason to kill them. And that's the one thing about Mark. Like, Mark be extreme, but to me, when it's time to kill niggas, he'll kill niggas because they was trying to kill him. Not just because they just running around irritating him. This third altar, straight up murked, stabby, McStabby, all of them.
And as far as we know, the third altar did not transfer into any type of Moon Knight persona in order to do the stabby mid-murders. No. They just did the dirt and then kept it moving like it was nothing.
No. And I say most of them because, unfortunately, the one young kid, he is too far gone. And Mark, like, he was just trying to scare him. Like, hey, yo, give me the information. And Mans was like, Hail Hydra, Hail Amit, cut his own tie or scarf or whatever, get a scarf, and just Tomming himself into the ravine. Yeah.
It's die every day, B. Your
theme.
That was definitely Khonshu's theme. He was like, "Oh, I thought he was gonna talk."
Khonshu was you in this episode. Khonshu was just like, and that's the other part that be getting me about Khonshu, and he be irritating me because he's always chilling, like very leisurely with his arm. And for those who are on Twitch, y'all seeing me how he's chilling. He's just sitting aside, like, damn, I thought that nigga was gonna speak.
Yeah, I mean,
damn, he over here with his little staff in his hand, just chilling.
Fam, I remember every night. You think I'm worried about some sucker who's over here talking about praise Amit? Fuck out of here. That kid was leading a bad path anyway.
I'm not trying to save him.
No, and look, I ain't got. Do you see a cape on me?
Right.
That's the other guy.
And then the cherry on top to really let you know that there's somebody else in here is Mark arguing with Steven and vice versa about what did you do? And the other one saying, I didn't do that. That was me. What are you talking about? And again, someone from the outside looking in is like, what the fuck is your problem? But there is a lot of problems happening.
But there was nobody on the outside because they were all dead.
That part.
He could argue with himself when his only witnesses are corpses.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up. Yeah. I didn't have anything else about Steven and Mark per se, or that the third alter, the DJ Khaled, but
another one.
But Moon Knight, Mr. Knight, we did get to see them again. And this one was also like real cool because you saw a more rapid transformation between the two. Before it was just like straight up fighting it, over the body, and then this time it was a not as, but it was just a little bit more seamless. It was a little bit more smooth, and it just reminded me, like you said, and I don't know if in the comments if like Mark willingly convenes with his alters, like, hey, yo, I need you to take, like, if it's just acceptable. Like, is it always an argument, or is there ever a time like, hey, yo, I need my detective, or, you know, I need my Egyptian information right now. Let me tap into Steven. Hey, yo, Steven, come out real quick. Or, hey, yo, I need to tap into my OD DJ Khaled. Come out real quick. Like, is it ever nice?
Yeah, it definitely goes down like that. And in one of my favorite Moon Knight stories, this was an Ultimate Spider-Man issue when it crossed over when Moon Knight appeared in it. Moon Knight gets shot in the head by some gangster and falls in the river. Like they're, you know, some mobsters are like trying to kill him, and they shoot him in the head. He falls in the river and he's dead. And then it cuts to his personalities inside his head, like standing by the river, looking down at the body on the ground. And they're like, okay, one of us has to take over now. And, you know, pick this body back up and let's go.
So in the worst situation ever, that's when it's an agreement. What about just regular day-to-day? Like, oh, you know, it would be really good if I... Like, it wasn't like no Capcom versus Marvel shit where it's just like, hey, tag in, tag out type shit. Like,
I'm not sure. Like I say, in some issues, it's more like that. In some stories, it's more where it's like they're not even, like, just... mentioned, you know, they don't talk to each other at all, you know, so there's different variations of it. Sometimes it's like all of them are in the head just talking. It just depends on the writer, you know, it really depends. Yeah, like I said, I'd never seen him get up from a bullet wound to the head. I don't even know if that was just Brian Michael Bendis writing that issue and that's how he went down for that storyline. But I thought it was great because they had this whole convo and they're like, okay, which of us to take over? And then one of them took over and then they moved on out with Moon Knight.
Well, maybe not in the head, but apparently as long as he's shrouded in his cape, he could take bullets.
Well, that's the thing. Like, this is
new...
Is
that new?
Yeah, I have not read these comics where Moon Knight is so invulnerable, like where he can get poked like he did in this episode.
Was wild OP. Like, every episode he gets progressively more OP.
Yeah, this is like, I don't know. Like, the Moon Knight I know was like a dude, you know? Like, when he
just
got shot in the head,
but
it was over. You know,
the
that
head
was it.
Is one thing, I guess.
No, I mean, this man took javelins through every part of his body. There was no blood.
There was no, and he took bullets through his entire body too because
I thought the bullets got stopped by the cape.
It looked like it was going through body parts too. I don't know.
I mean, he did say his jacket was all torn to shreds, his regular, so it went through his,
Konshu says this is his magical healing armor, right? Like,
yes.
Is this some Wolverine times 100,000 type shit?
I mean, there was no blood. It ain't even it's way past 100,000. Wolverine be bleeding all over
times
the place.
infinity type shit. Like,
yeah, he just like a ghost. Like, he did not seem to take any harm in this epised at all.
And not only did he not take harm,
he didn't scream in pain.
Not only did he technically not take harm, he also threw the bullets back to the people. When he was protecting Layla and covering himself and Layla with the thing, and you know they had a game plan. He turned around and I don't know if they were the bullets, but it feels like they were bullets.
No, they were.
He flung his cape, and then some projectiles went back to the people shooting at him.
Yeah, no, Moon Knight has several projectiles. One are those are his moon, you know, things that he throws around. And then he has these straight daggers, which was that's what they were showing right there.
There were like 20 of them. They came out of him like
famous, that. Yeah, that's his famous little, you know, look, Moon Knight be putting in work when it's, you know.
Okay.
That's one thing he does do is put in work. And obviously this is some super powered, you know, ghost Moon Knight who got all kind of magical daggers just coming out of nowhere. But yeah, he has these straight daggers, which are really dope from the comics.
Give off splash damage. He a tank. He this, he that. He's a self healer. I get it. He's like he's a cheat code.
That man putting in work on Overwatch.
Big word.
Big word, boy. He's like Reaper times infinity.
Right. And of course, the keeping in with like the constant new names and alters and stuff going on with Mark while he's undercover for a very brief period with Layla, looking at that the tomb. Layla introduces him as Rufino. Rufio. That's what I heard when she
Rufio.
said that.
Yeah, that's all I got.
And I wonder if that's a character in any of the comics. I don't know if that rings a bell for you.
It does not ring a bell for me. Rufino does not, let me know. But like I said, my Moon Knight knowledge is not as extensive as I would like. But I don't know no Rufino. That's another one there.
Right. We spoke at great lengths about Khonshu, played by F. Murray Abram, the fact that he's an a-hole, all this other stuff. The two coolest things I think he did, as I mentioned, when he essentially turned back time with the sky, he also forced a solar eclipse. Or was that it's a solar eclipse because it was daytime. He forced a solar eclipse in order to get the gods to convene with their avatars inside the Great Pyramid of Giza. He's like, I want to talk to you niggas. And they were like, him and his theatrics. He really, that's some big theatrical shit. Now, here's my question. Now, we see that while he's doing this bullshit,
People
everybody on Earth is reacting like, oh, I see that. Like, how does this affect the world, the planet?
At this point, I think people on the planet
anymore.
That's small change, fam. Like imagine me and you sitting outside and the sky flips around a bunch of times. You'd be like, oh, okay, that's weird. But
is this small change because of everything they
remember 3 years ago when half of the universe died?
Right. Right.
Oh yeah. Remember 6 months ago when that giant red god appeared in space? What about that one in the ocean who's dead right now? Oh yeah, that happened too. Yeah, whatever, man. What's for lunch?
Once again, this goes back to just a real quick comment about timeline, and shout out to Tom the fanboy who big supporter of For All Nerds. He made mention that in the previous episode when the Mr. Knight is fighting on that bus, there's a ad that talks about the GRC, or is it called the GRC? The Global Repatriation Council or whatever it was. And remember, we saw that back in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and that clearly happened post-blip, right? That happened when they were trying to help people get back to where they were supposed to be or get new houses or stuff like that. So
Find
we know
the people who blipped out, reconnect with your better half. And that's what we were talking about that last week, that it said reconnect with your better half. Right. It was a GRC ad. So this happens post-snap, post-blip.
Now, when did the whole situation in Eternals happen?
All after that. Well, after that. Eternals
that was after
Eternals is supposed to be established like as one of the later things that's happening in the MCU. Right up to present time.
But I mean, did that happen before the situation in Moon Knight we're seeing now or after? Because like you said, and the reason why I'm asking, because for you to be like, yo, we've seen worse. Like we've seen giant
at this
red
point,
things
the blip
in the sky.
is outweighing everything. So whether or not they saw a giant red god, it doesn't matter. Half of the universe died and everyone knows it was a purple dude named Thanos. That's like, that would change the world in ways that like, fam. Like, you have to accept that there are purple men who can snap their fingers and erase half the universe. Like, dog, man, there ain't enough of cocaine in the world for me. Let me tell you, I never even done cocaine, and I'm doing all the cocaine if I live through that shit.
There's not enough. There's not enough to have random solar eclipses, the sky going back centuries, like you said, giant gods, and me getting, leaving for 5 years and coming back. This is too much.
There's not enough drugs. Yeah, but I would find out.
No, you would find out. just again with Konshu, and also just something I just found strange with Konshu when it comes to these gods, like he does not have a good relationship with them, at least as of now. They've banished him before. He's having a horrible time as his own defense lawyer, like terrible. It just seems like, again, if you're sitting in the jury, you're like, I kind of get why the guys don't fuck with you. Like, he sounds like he's having a temper tantrum. And while he's not exactly wrong, it's his delivery that's just subpar.
Yeah.
And I can see why they don't really listen to him.
Nah, except for the one who, wanted him to check out her melodies.
So him and Hathor had a thing.
They definitely had a thing, folks. Come on now. Yeah, he was checking out the melodies for real. Okay. And, she's still down to help. You know what I mean? That's that, you know how that go.
Ben Amin's referring to the fact that Hathor is the god of love and music, amongst many other things. In Egyptian mythology, these gods are gods of magic. And this is some of the main things they're gods of. Horus is, and these are the people who show up in the internet, who show up in the Great Pyramid of Giza in this episode. Horus, the god of the sky. That's the one with like the eagle head. Isis, I believe it's Isis, but it sounds like she says Isis. So I presumed it was Isis. God, protector of women and children, life and magic. Also the moon. there's Tefnu, who's the god of the moisture, rainfall, and then Osiris, the big man, who is life, death, flooding in the Nile, and the afterlife.
Yeah.
And they don't take kindly to him. Now, the one part I couldn't understand was when Harrow came through and just dead ass lied to their face. I understand, like, again, with them not knowing where Amit was because that was kept from them, but they couldn't just. I thought, as gods, you're just omnipotent, you're omniscient. Couldn't they just see that his people was digging in the desert?
Thor ain't omniscient.
I'm not talking about Thor. I'm talking about these gods.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. These gods, remember, just because they say they are what they are, don't mean that they're, big G. They just little G's. And the little G's can't read no minds.
Little G's.
Like,
but not even reading, like, again, I don't know. I just, like, maybe the god of the sky couldn't he just jump up in there and just see what the niggas was doing, just look down and say, oh, they are digging in the desert. Like, no? Am I missing something?
I mean, he just said we were digging in the desert, though. That don't mean we looking for the tomb.
What? Why are you digging in the desert? No one is digging. Okay, you could say it's an archaeology experience. Why specifically your ass comes out there with all these people? And my thing is, sure, you don't fuck with, what's fam's name? Konshu. Sure, you don't fuck with Konshu, whatever. But, like, why would he go through all the theatrics and levy such a heavy accusation saying, look what this nigga's doing in the desert, just for you to be like, nah, he's not doing nothing. Nah, I'm just building sandcastles. What?
Maybe they down.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're just clueless. I don't know.
It seems very clueless, but it just seemed very like, damn, they, okay.
Maybe they just really don't like Khonshu.
Right.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Like, no matter what this nigga says.
Yeah, they just really don't care. They just, and they know how he gets down, and they're like, ugh.
Oh, this nigga again. Okay.
Yeah. Come on, man. Thousands of years, remember. Like,
of his
they've known these people forever.
Well, when you put it like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. They know how Amit is. They just know Amit's. That's why they already got him locked up. And they're like, all right, well, maybe you just need to be locked up too then.
So they thought they got Amit out the paint, and they were like, you're next. Okay.
Yeah, let's get you both out the paint and keep them moving.
Right. And as they proceed to do, like I said, after he moved the sky, they said, nah, you're done.
Yeah, that's enough.
Encased him in that little statue, and that was that. Very Ghostbusters. We have Layla. You see in the beginning, again, played by May Conway. She has the fake Egyptian passport. The Egyptian passport has a full name of Layla Abdallah El Fuli. I believe that's how you pronounce the last name. Born, it seems like October 28th, 1994, which makes her a Scorpio. And her profession is antiques dealer, which is a fancy word for, as Killmonger would say, thief.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, not much more to say than her. I really enjoyed her in this episode. The actress is doing a good job, but she is getting played to the left.
Big left.
Oh, I mean, just left, right, up, down, sideways, don't matter. Whichever way you face that woman, she getting played.
Your boy, Arthur Harrow, played by Ethan Hawke. You gotta love how he flipped the script during the trial on Konshu. He was just like, look at this man. He's out of his mind. You know what I'm saying? And it just like, damn, even the gods do it. Like using mental health as a weapon. Or like, it works on everybody, apparently. And it's
I mean,
up.
in March's case, it's not like, just using it as a weapon. This is facts, fam.
It's using
this man should not
too.
be the fist of Khonshu. Like, if there's gonna be a fist of Khonshu, it should not be this guy. Like, I can easily agree with that argument. Like, I'm sorry, bro. It's like you're not letting a blind person be a truck driver. There are certain things that just don't work out.
Well,
I don't think. Automated truck driver?
I don't know.
Then you don't need the person in the car. You know what I mean? Like,
so okay. So
yeah.
you're just saying, but I understand. Like, he's basically the better defense attorney, or the better. He's the.
I mean, this man ain't right. He's stating the facts. He's laying out the facts.
He's the AG in this case. Decide. He's like, look, man, he has poor judgment. Look at what Konshu chose.
Yes, terrible.
Yeah,
and he's right. Like, Khonshu, chose this man because, as we know, he threatened him into doing it. And because this man is so, just like in need of help that he's an easy victim.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like, he's like, this man is mentally unstable, and Khonshu knows that, and that's why he went to him.
Yeah. One person.
I finally agree with Arthur Harrow.
See, we're just slowly barreling, quickly
trust
barreling.
me, it ain't gonna help. I'll never get down with him. He's corny. He walks around on glass. Like, no, dog. I still can't get over that. Like, don't any of his servants be like, fam, what's up with that, bro? Like,
would you question someone who has the power of Amit?
I wouldn't be there in the first place if you know.
Slither.
I'm not getting that tattoo if a man walked around on glass, and it's like, yo, you want to be down in this crew? Nah, bro.
You're not a true believer.
I'm stopping then. Well, that's when I get the get. You know what I mean? Like, we gonna see how fast I'm gonna get me, fam, because I'm putting hot ones.
All right.
You don't seem to be that tough, bro. A couple hot ones is laying you out.
Jesus. On a more serious note, there is a character that we meet in this episode called Anton Mogart. He's the guy that when I say they, I mean Layla and Mark show up to his place because they want to see Senfu's tomb. Anton, in the comics anyway, is also known as Midnight Man. And in this episode, he's played by Gaspard Ulliel, who actually passed away, what was it, a few months ago? Was it in February? Is that true?
Yeah.
He actually died, and I believe it was a ski accident. But so rest in peace to him. That's sad. And Ben Amin and I were talking briefly just prior to recording, like, what are they going to do with this character? Are they going to recast, or is this something where they're just going to leave it be?
I'm pretty much 100% they're going to leave it be, because Midnight Man is not that big a character in the comics. And as we see in this episode, Anton takes a knife, one of them knives from Moon Knight, screams out, "Ah!" and rides off into the mist on his horse. So it was like
that scream.
No, I mean, but that's exactly how. Yeah, I was crying because he like gets hit. He's like, "Ah!" and then he rides off. Like, as soon as he gets hit, like, that's it. I'm done. All right, that's enough for me. But and I just don't see him having a big arc. He felt like a mini boss and a waste of time in general. Like, I really did not like Anton's character in this episode.
I didn't understand his point besides just to be a road bump.
This is like be a speed bump, and it was so goofy. Like when Harrow rolls up and it's like, "Do you want to see real power?" and spends all this time blowing up the casket.
You
and
really did like that?
I mean, because the way Anton's like, yes.
What would you have rather he done, Ben? I mean, for it
summon
to
another
be worthwhile?
jackal demon. Give me that. Like, show me the jackal demon again. Something like.
But no one can see the jackal demon, I thought, except for Mark
true
and Harrow, because Harrow summoned it. But
then blow up that whole thing that it was in. The whole pyramid. Something, fam. A man disintegrated half of life in the universe. You got to show me more at this point, bro.
You're saying his party tricks suck? You saying he sucks as a magician?
Dog, Loki opened up a portal above New York which magical technological dragons flew out of. You got to show me more. You know what I mean? People have seen a lot in the MCU at this point. Like, everyone has seen this stuff. Could you imagine that, dog? Like, how much we see the 9/11 footage? Could you imagine a portal over New York?
It's on a different level. Yeah. It's absolutely on a different level.
It's on a different level.
Just speaking about Anton, just to close him out, the thing about him, like Beck, the guy that when Layla rolls up, there's a black guy, and I believe she calls him by the name of Beck, but he makes mention of Layla and Anton hanging out in Madripoor, which again has ties directly to like Falcon and Winter Soldier and all sorts of things we know about Madripoor. And again, depending on where this is in the timeline, that means there will be a, what's her name? Blondie. There will be a crossover potential with now the leader of Madripoor. I guess that's what her situation is now. I don't know.
The power
your
broker,
homegirl, the power broker. Yeah.
I felt like that was just kind of like, here's our connection to the MCU.
You just think it was just a cheap throwaway,
yeah,
cheap connection line.
Yeah, felt pretty cheap to me, but we'll see. We'll see. Like I would say, I always like to wait to see. I'm holding out for a Blade appearance in this series, folks. So
right.
I'm wishing for anything right now.
And there kind of technically was what we learned in the previous episode. That QR code that we told you guys about, that when you scanned it, it took you to that Moon Knight, the Werewolf by Night comic book. That same the QR code appears twice. It appears on the storage unit, and it also appears on the wall in the museum when Steven is showing the kid all the artifacts and stuff. If you actually pause that, you'll see that it's the QR code on the wall next to like the sarcophagus, and then there is a mirror image apparently, like there is the reflection of it. If you scan the reflection, you actually get to a Blade comic. I believe number 10 it said. So
Tomb of Dracula, which features Blade. Yeah,
okay.
So Dracula comic book where Blade first appears.
Got it. So again, that's just an outright, hey, Blade is coming situation, or are they just being funny, trying to tease, or
a little Mephisto feeling, making you think he's gonna be here, and then
is Blade gonna be the Mephisto of this series? Jesus, please.
That's what I'm feeling, because with the Egyptian connection, it just feels like, and then all these,
please no
sarcophaguses we're seeing, all these coffins, sarcophagi.
I don't know. I really don't know. I just threw that.
I think it is sarcophagi. Actually, I've seen that word before. Yeah. So yeah, sarcophagi.
I don't know. That would be very disheartening if he's the. Oh God.
I mean, we need some type of connection to the MCU, like
right. But if it's a red herring, I'm gonna be mad.
Yeah, I would be too.
Come on, bro. It's
but that'd
time.
be great if they kept him secret all the time, and poop, here he is. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we are winding down now to the end of our review. We have our Easter eggs, inspirations, and music. When Layla is in the room getting her fake passport done, is she eating Turkish Delights candies? Because her mom, or whatever she is, passes her this jar, which it looks like it's marshmallows almost, but it also has some color in it. And I'm like, here we go again with these nasty ass candies.
Man, I still don't know what those are, even though all my experiences in the Middle East, I still have no idea.
Well, again, and that's the same candies Baron Zemo bribed the kids with in Falcon and the Winter Soldier when he was trying to find Mama. Hey, Mama Tonya. Every time I say Mama Tonya, I think about you doing the whisper song.
Hey, Mama Tonya, let me whisper.
Yeah, and that's something that in Easter egg inspiration, this episode takes largely part in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of us are Egyptian. I've definitely spent a good time, not always a good time, but a good amount of time.
A good amount of time. Yes.
A good amount of time in the Middle East. And I have several very close Egyptian friends. And I've spent a lot of time around Middle Eastern and Arabic culture. And I felt like there was certain things, but a lot of surface level. And one issue that I really took with this episode was the fact that the only people who speak in Arabic are Mark and the cab driver and the villains. Like when Layla and Mark are sitting on the boat together, that would be a perfect time for them just having a conversation in Arabic and just have it be subtitled.
Yeah.
Like this is two native speakers who are at home, and they would, and they're surrounded by other people who are definitely speaking Arabic on the boat.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if Mark is native speaker, but Layla at least, right? Because Mark is American technically.
Ah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, this personality.
Yeah, but he knows how to speak Arabic. I hear what your whole point is. Why is it? It seems like it's being directed by the non-Egyptian native and then the bad guys, right? Why are these the only people using this language? Yeah.
And I know that Mohammed Diab, one of the main creators of this show and the director, is Egyptian, and he talked about how he wanted to bring Egyptian culture to the forefront. But I also know there's a big corporation involved and a lot of other people who are not Egyptian involved. And so I'd like to hear from some Egyptian people out there, how are they repping, the culture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Benjamin said, especially in this episode, this is maybe the most, it is the most infusion of what we think is at least surface level culture, because they say that they're in Cairo, right? Like, how they use other locations to represent. Like when you see Layla drinking, I don't know what drink she's drinking out of the plastic bag, and then you see the guy pouring the tea and all this other stuff. Like, is that really, I guess, closer to the authentic thing of what you would see in a market over there? Like what's...
Yeah, the plastic bags goes down in Ethiopia all day. I've seen that all day.
Plastic bags is everywhere. I've seen that.
Yeah,
I've seen that everywhere. That. But like what the type of drink she's drinking, right? Like shit like that. Like is what we've seen just commodified for TV and then just to appeal to everybody, or are we seeing some realistic authenticity here?
I just felt like this was like the Marvel version of the authenticity, and that's I think that's my whole thing with this series. It feels like the Marvel version of a lot of things, like the Marvel version of dealing with DID, the Marvel version of having a dark character, even though this episode definitely went to some very dark places, like, kids tormenting themselves, it still also comes off, like this whole series where it's like jumping from mood and to tone to tone.
Yeah.
And I'm still 3 episodes in. I'm still not sure. I've been saying this since the beginning that they're handling it that well. I feel like
That still bothers you.
the tone shifts are so drastic that it's because like this episode. That was another thing I realized after watching all 4 episodes at once for our first review. I think that it's better watching these episodes one-on-one, because they all kind of started to blend together, and I was kind of getting confused on details, and I wasn't sure which episodes I was really enjoying. And 3, I pretty much really enjoyed. I think some of the tone shifts in 3 are a problem that I see as the series progresses, though, and I'm hoping they right the ship. But I don't know. I feel like this is just the ship and what they chose.
So when you say tone shifts, to give an example, you mean like when Mark was on the roof fighting the goons, and like the one took his knife, threw it up in the air, very Indiana Jones style, and then did all that,
and lit his knife, and then a second later they're getting bodied violently.
Yeah.
And Mark doesn't know what's going on, and scenes before that. I mean, this whole DID stuff being thrown in the middle of the Mummy is weird. That's what it is.
I see that. I mean, my thing is also it's a conscious choice, right? They want you to be like, if I didn't feel the huge jumps in tone as you're feeling. However, what you explaining it, I understand, but also is that very much on purpose? It's because they want you to feel very much like Mark, where his life is jumping through different tones every damn near second.
It could be, but I'm just
Mark
not sure.
Steven.
Yeah, they're handling it that well. But like I say, we shall see. So far, upon, as we review these episodes, the first 3, I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
So, that's where I'm going to leave it. And, the 3, we're at 50% so far. So, not a bad series so far.
Almost there. And finally, there is the song Enta by DJ Kabu. It plays during the opening Marvel Studios slate after the Layla chat with this fake passport.
Yeah, and I think that's just, dope joint about entering, come on into Egypt,
Oh, really?
Yeah. I didn't really no, it's not about entering Egypt. I couldn't find the lyrics online, but I think that's, the meaning of why they're using the song right here is enter. We are entering Egypt, That's all that is, yeah.
Awesome. All right. Did you have anything else you wanted to mention, Ben? Before we get out of here?
Let's see. Anything else in my notes that needed to be mentioned other than Mark being a dick? I think we've established that Khonshu is not the only dick in this series. Mark is most definitely kind of grimy. Yeah.
He's kind of grimy.
I mean, he's known what's going down, and instead of he's once again Bruce Wayne. Instead of going to therapy, he's like, nah, I'll just go be the fist of vengeance.
And then he doesn't ask for help. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't tell Layla. Layla's like, you could have told me. We could have did this together.
Oh, Layla is damn sure ending up in some version of a Moon Knight suit by the end of this series.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you.
I don't know if it'll be permanent, but we're going to see her in the suit. Yeah. There was a lot of foreshadowing this episode. And the fact that he still hasn't even revealed that, like, yo, if I leave this, Khonshu's coming for you.
He just keeps saying, oh, it's dangerous, it's dangerous. And I'm like, why didn't he just fucking tell? Well, then again, would she believe him too?
I mean, she would believe that part if he was like, yo, if I stop doing this Moon Knight shit, it's coming for you.
Didn't he say as much? And when I say believe, I don't mean believe what he's saying. I mean, like, who cares? I'm going to do what I want. I'm a big girl. Like,
oh, she's going to do what she wants. Layla don't care.
That part.
Yeah. Layla showed up in Egypt. Layla showed up in Amit Town. Layla just be showing up.
Yeah. Popping out. Don't give a fuck.
Yeah. What's good? Coming out the door. Yeah.
Yo. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our review of episode 3 of Moon Knight. Thank you, everyone who is supporting, watching, recording, sharing views from the 616. Thank you to everyone on the twitch.tv/forallnerds right now. I see you in the chat giving love. We appreciate you. Tell us what you think about the new time that we're on. What we're on, like at 8 p.m. Eastern now on
Thursdays for now.
For now.
In 2 weeks, we will be returning to Mondays at 8 p.m.
Yep, and to do the last 2 episodes, and then we'll see what happens when we get to Miss Marvel series. How we're going to do that? Yo, make sure you're doing a few things for us, as always. That you're following us on the Twitch. Again, twitch.tv/forallnerds. If you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you get a free monthly subscription to a Twitch channel of your choice. Please let that channel be For All Nerds. All you have to do is connect your Amazon Prime to your Twitch account and you get the free sub. You just got to do it. You just got to re-up every month. Just choose us again. There is also our Patreon, patreon.com/forallnerds. That's where you, the viewers like you, as they say in PBS land, help us do great things. You can go on any tier. Every tier is special. You also get special privileges no matter what tier you're on. It is how we pay our staff and do cool things here at For All Nerds. You can also support us through our TeePublic page. That's our merch place. That's where you get really cool teas and mugs and cups and every dope design that you've ever seen us come up with. It is on some type of merchandise. Ben Amin has and that's another one that you can't even get no more.
I missed this one.
Yo, like that one is that the one that got pulled by the internet police?
Yeah, Marvel definitely came for us on this one.
Yeah, so listen, if you see a fire design, especially one that we just put up, you need to get it ASAP because there ain't no telling that Mickey with the blicky might come and just take us out and take it down. You'll never get to see it again. Just like that design Ben Amin had on, you'll never see it again. So anyway, hit us up. Again, what is that? tpublic.com/stores/forallnerds. Follow us on the socials at For All Nerds, at Views from 616 on Twitter. I'm at Tatiana King across the internet. You can go see my thirst traps anywhere you go, almost. Ben Hameen, actually is a DJ. He's not just not a name, he's an actual DJ. So he has some cool DJ events and things going on. You can follow him there. And as always, follow us For All Nerds on your favorite podcast platform. We're on every platform. You have to follow For All Nerds to listen to Views from 616. Ben Hameen, anything else, sir?
Next week, we are back with the review of episode 4 where things get highly questionable, folks.